Hey y'all, welcome back. This week I'm heading to the store and picking up a little over $20 in groceries to make myself breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks for about 7 days. Now all these recipes are great though for families as well. They're designed to either make once and have leftovers, or you can make them as a full portion for a family. Whatever you decide, I hope it gives you some inspiration. So let's head to the store real quick and get our groceries. Here is my list. I'm getting a couple of things at a different grocery store because I don't carry them at Aldi. Most of the things I'm getting here, and then some of the things I do have at home. So I'm just going to show you what the prices are like here so you can kind of budget and follow along. Okay, maple syrup is the first thing. I'm going to get $5.49 for this. There you go. I think you're going to be surprised what I make with this. And a lot of these are experimental, so hopefully it goes well. Next is going to be sweet potatoes, $3.56 for 3 pounds. Oh, I see they have a couple different kinds here. What is this one? I've never seen this brand before. These are yams, but I want sweet potatoes. Let's see if these look good. Oh yeah, those look really good. And next I need bananas, 45 cents a pound. I think I'll get 8. It's just about a little less than 3 pounds. And I'm using onions from my pantry, but they're $1.99 for 2 pounds. So I think that's going to be, what, 40 cents for the one onion I'm using this week. So that's good. They also have the yellow onions, $2.69 for 3 pounds. So those are both really good prices either way. Okay, I just need 1 bell pepper. I have some in the freezer. I could get them for $2.57 for 3 right now. But I think I'll just use the one that I have in the freezer. Okay, 1 avocado for 79 cents. Let's see. I'm trying to get a bigger one. I'm just going to get this one. And next I need tomatoes, 74 cents per pound. I have 8 tomatoes. 4, 5, 6. Get a couple more. Find some that are not quite ripe, and then they can ripen on the countertop. I just get a couple more, I think. So I'm trying to make, what am I making? Sloppy Joes and a barley soup. Need to get the barley at a different store though. Next is carrots, $1.38 for 2 pounds. From the back here. Nice and fresh carrots. Spinach for $1.49. Let's see if I can find a good date. Looks very fresh. Beautiful. There we go. I'm looking for the raisin mix. Okay, I was looking for a specific mix that has cashews, almonds, and pepitas with raisins, but I don't see it here. I'm gonna have to go to the other Aldi to get it. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and go with this assorted trail mix for $2.69. This one has raisins, peanuts, dark chocolate drops, sunflower kernels, dried cranberries, and almonds. And hopefully this will work out for what I'm trying to do. Let's see, 140 calories in a quarter cup, 1 gram of fiber, and 4 grams of protein. Let me just double check if there's not something else. It looks like they have other types down here. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. This is the one. Okay, this is the one that I wanted. Okay, so look, huh? $2.69 for this. Almonds, raisins, peanuts, pepitas, sunflower kernels, and cashews. This is going to be perfect. 160 calories for a quarter of a cup, 6 grams of protein, and 2 grams of fiber. Much better. Okay, found it. $2.69. Now, I'm using the black beans I have at home, but if I didn't have them at home, I could get 2 pounds for $2.85, or I could go to the Dollar Tree and get 1 pound for $1.25. So that's what I would do if I was following this plan and I was on a really strict budget. Normally, I just buy like in bulk and then make a bunch at once. But if I'm just spending $20, $25 for the week, then I would probably go to Dollar Tree for the beans. And I'm also looking for barley, but they don't have barley here. It costs about $2 at my local grocery store other than Aldi. They don't have it here, otherwise I would get it here. So if you're following along, go to the a store that has barley if you can. Walmart or other grocery stores usually carry that. Okay, next I need tomato sauce for 49 cents. There we go. And tomato paste for 86 cents. I just need 1, and I may not use it all. I don't know. Normally I would get the Greek yogurt here for $3.49 for 32 ounces. It's 11 cents an ounce. But I only need a little bit And I think I can get one for like 65 cents for a small one. I need plain. They don't have plain here, so I'll probably go to my other grocery store where I'm getting the barley and get just one of those. But I could maybe just use what I have on hand instead and just use a little bit, and then I could do the math and see how much that would cost. So I use it for a lot of things. A lot of great protein, calcium, all that jazz. So I love to have yogurt on hand. I can use it for all kinds of things. So I think that's everything I'm getting here at Aldi today. So let's see what the total is for all of these things. Today at Aldi I spent $19.56, and then I'm just going to go to another store to pick up another $3 of ingredients and then use the rest at home. Okay, now I'm looking for the barley. There it is, pearl barley, $1.99. Okay, so just this one for $1.99, and this is a pound. Let's see, and we're getting 4 grams of protein for a quarter cup, plus 120 calories for a quarter cup, 2 grams of fiber, and 6% iron. Perfect, looks great. All right, let's do some fun things with this. And as usual, I'm going to be using some things from my pantry and refrigerator. The reason why I do this in my meal plans is to, one, reduce my waste. So if something's about to go bad, I'm just going to add it to a dish. And I want you to be able to do that as well with things that may be going bad in your pantry or refrigerator. So I'm just giving you a few ideas for ways to zhuzh up these recipes if you want to. Also, with some seasonings and things like that, basics that I always keep on hand in my pantry and refrigerator, I encourage you to make substitutions with anything that you have on hand. And of course, I'll let you know when things are not necessary, so you can just do salt, pepper, water, whatever it is that you have on hand. So let me show you what I've got and what kind of substitutions you can make. This week, the seasonings are actually really simple. I'm just using salt, pepper, garlic powder, and chili powder. And you can easily get these seasonings for less than $5 to just stock your pantry, so that way you have them for future recipes. And I always use some sort of oil. If you don't have oil though, you can use water for most things, or even chicken broth, chicken fat. You know, any sort of fat would work great, butter, but I'm going to be using avocado oil. I'm also using some yellow mustard in one of the recipes. If you happen to have a packet of yellow mustard from maybe when you did takeout, you can use that because it's just a tiny, tiny bit. If you don't have it at all, that's fine, just skip it. And for a soup this week, I'm going to be using this chicken flavor bouillon. You can find this in a very small portion at the Dollar Tree or Walmart to just get one little cube. I believe it's around $1, $1.25 for a full packet. So you can, save them and use them for later recipes. But I highly recommend having something like this on hand. If you don't have that though, you can use soy sauce. If you followed one of my other meal plans in the past, you may have soy sauce on hand already. So you could just use 1 tablespoon of this instead of the seasoning that I use. And again, if you have neither, we're just going to be using water and a little bit of extra salt. So don't worry. I also have this sad little bit of celery left. So I'm going to be throwing this into a soup. But again, you don't have to. I just encourage you to raid your fridge or freezer for any vegetables that you have on hand. They're great to add to soups. So don't let things go to waste. Maybe 50 cents worth of celery that I'm using this week. So not adding a ton to the budget either. Now in this video, I do have a bonus recipe that is absolutely optional, but I want to do something fun with the black beans, and I'm going to be making black bean brownie cupcakes, which my kids loved. So I always have a little bit of peanut butter. I always have cocoa powder on hand. It's a little over $1 at Aldi, but I do have some baking powder, a little bit of mini chocolate chips or regular chocolate chips, and then a little bit of flour as well. But again, these things are optional. To show you another way to possibly use some of the leftover ingredients that you might have on hand at the end of the week, I would recommend at least doing oil, chili powder, garlic powder, salt, and pepper, just because I really feel like it adds a lot to this meal plan. So if you do that and you buy this during this meal plan, that's going to add another $10 or so to the entire budget if you're buying all of these for the first time. So that again would just add $10 and you'd end up at a $30 total for the week. Remember, you're not going to use all of these though. You're going to have them left over for future meal plans. So it's a great investment. I definitely recommend just grabbing these for this meal plan and then having them left over for the next one too. So first thing I want to do is prep my nut bars for the week. They're going to be my breakfast. I'm going to use the maple syrup and the trail mix. So let's get started on that. So first I'm going to put some parchment paper in this 8x8 container. Next I'll get a mixing bowl, and this is the trail mix I'm using, but you can use any trail mix that you like, any kind of seed and nut combination, dried fruits, chocolates, anything that you'd like in there, anything you like. Let's add it to the bowl. And this already has salt, so I'm not gonna be adding any salt. And I'm just gonna be using about 1/4 cup of this maple syrup. I'm really just gonna be pouring this over. You can use any sweetener that you like. You can use honey, you can use rice syrup, anything that you like. I'm just gonna give this a good little mix here until everything is really nicely coated. And then I'm going to transfer it over into my 8x8 baking dish that I already put parchment in. There we go. Let's pour this in. Now I'll just flatten that out as evenly as I can with this spatula. Now I'm just gonna bake that at 350 degrees for about 30 minutes, and I'll check it and see if I need to go a little bit longer. Okay, this is smelling so good. Let's check it out. It's been about 30 minutes. Ooh, that looks delicious. Okay, I'm gonna set this aside and let it cool for about an hour. It's been about 10 minutes and I don't want them to harden completely before I cut them, so I'm going to remove them here from the pan and start slicing. I slice these in several bars, and I'd recommend at least having 8 to 10 portions or so for the week. Plus you can eat them with a banana for breakfast or a snack. Just store them in the fridge. They are absolutely delicious just like that. Now that night I also soaked my beans so I could have them ready for the next day. I like to soak the beans because they are easier for me to digest. I just strain out that water, then put them in a pot with some new water, about 6 to 8 cups or so of water. And I'm just adding salt this time. I'm going to bring that to a simmer and let that boil for about 60 to 90 minutes or until I can easily mash the beans with a spoon. And once they're cooked through, I'm just going to portion them into 4 portions for meals and then a little bit left over for the dessert bonus recipe at the end. I just put them in the refrigerator with a big spoon so they cool very quickly. This first dinner recipe is a black bean and barley soup, and I'm going to be using my carrots that I peeled. I saved the peels in the freezer for a veggie stock later, and I'm going to go ahead and also slice some carrot sticks for snacks for the week as well. Just because I'm already doing the prep, I might as well do it now. You can see my dog waiting for carrots too, just in case I drop any. He's going to get them. Now, if you're dicing your tomatoes right now, don't forget to save the tops too for veggie stock later if you're going to make some. And I grabbed the celery, of course, and diced that too. You see, I just use a couple sticks here. So whatever you have on hand, if you have peas or any other veggies you want to add, you can do so at this time too. Now, with my big cup of water here, this is about 8 cups of water or so. I'm just going to be adding 2 teaspoons of this chicken bouillon. Again, this is optional. It's got a lot of sodium, so I'm just going to add a little bit. But if you don't have that, you can use 1 tablespoon of soy sauce or just salt, maybe about a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon to taste. Now, in a large pot, I'm just going to heat some oil and add my onions, celery, and carrots and just saute those until they're nice and soft. This only takes about 4 or 5 minutes. Then I can add the tomatoes, cooked black beans, the barley that I've rinsed, and then that chicken bouillon mixture and a little bit more water and a little garlic powder for extra flavor. I'm just going to bring that to a simmer, cover it, and let that go for about 45 minutes until the barley is cooked through. Then I'm going to add about 8 ounces of spinach. You can add as much or as little as you like. You can save some for salads later in the week, whatever you feel like doing. Then we'll just give that a stir until it's nicely wilted. And that's it for this soup. It is so fast, so easy. Add any seasonings that you like here or any extra veggies to make it your own. And that's it. Serve it up and keep some portions for lunch. I personally also ended up freezing about half to have for the next week. It was just so much soup. It was really good too. Now, this next recipe is going to be the sloppy Janes. And I thought I made that up, but then I started looking up some recipes and it looks like other people have done this too before, but this is my take on it. So in a large pan, I'm going to heat some oil, add a little bit of onions, and then the 1 bell pepper I had on hand, it was just a small yellow bell pepper, but you can use any color that you have. Just let that get nice and soft, about 4 minutes or so. Then add the tomatoes and cooked beans. I'm adding a tablespoon of maple syrup. Normally I would do brown sugar, but I had maple syrup on hand, so that's what I'm doing. And a little bit of mustard and garlic powder, salt, and pepper for seasoning. Again, go nuts with the seasoning. If you have anything on hand that you love, add that now. You can add cumin, chili powder, whatever you fancy. Then just bring that to a simmer and let that go until it's nice and thick. And while that's simmering, I also started started my sweet potatoes in a steamer basket on the stove. They did take about 25 to 30 minutes, so just keep that in mind. You might want to start them before you start sauteing, or you can do them in an Instant Pot at high pressure for 16 minutes with a 10-minute natural release, or in the microwave as well. You just want to make sure that when you pierce them with a fork, they pierce very easily. Mine, you can tell they needed an extra 5 minutes. So just to make sure that they're cooked all the way through, and you're just going to save some of these portions. If you're eating for one, you can save them in the fridge for the next day. Sweet potato reheats really well. And if you don't have a need for the extra sweet potato in the bonus recipe, you can actually use the sweet potato to make the dessert too. So that's just something to keep in mind. Sweet potato is really versatile. You can use it instead of eggs in recipes when you're baking and things like that. So it's great. But now I'm on a tangent. So anyway, for dinner, I just opened up the one sweet potato, mashed it up a bit, and then added my sloppy Joe mixture. You can add some Greek yogurt on top, a little bit of hot sauce, some cilantro, or any ingredients that you love, maybe some shredded cheese. But just like this, it's absolutely perfect and so delicious. Definitely give this recipe a try. This next dinner idea is my all-time favorite way to eat sweet potatoes. So if you're going to try any recipe in this video, please try this one. It is a loaded sweet potato fry, and make sure you give those sweet potatoes a nice scrub and wash, because I'm going to be setting aside all of those peels, and I'm going to be using those in a recipe for the next day, which I hope you're going to be surprised and delighted because they turned out really good. Now I'm going to slice my sweet potatoes into fry shapes. You can make them as big or as small as you like. The bigger they are, the more soft they're going to be at the end, and if they're smaller, they're going to end up being more crispy. So that's totally up to you, as big or as small as you like to slice them, and they don't have to be perfect, so don't worry. So first, I'm going to toss them with some oil and a little bit of salt and pepper. Now this evening, my kids are also going to be eating some of this as well, so I'm going to actually separate some of these sweet potatoes just for them with just salt and pepper, because my favorite way to season these 4 loaded sweet potato fries is to add a ton of chili powder. And that's why I recommend having some chili powder on hand, because I feel like the chili powder really adds a lot of flavor just with the sweetness of the sweet potato and the spice of the chili powder. It really goes well together. But again, that's totally optional. Salt and pepper will work just fine for these fries. I promise they're still going to come out tasting absolutely delicious. So I'm putting about half on the tray for my kids, and then I'll go ahead and toss the rest with a bunch of chili powder for myself. Now the leftovers for this, it reheats really well in the microwave, or you can reheat the fries separately in an air fryer and then build them with all the ingredients later. That's totally up to you. Just keep that in mind when you're making your leftovers for the next day. If you want to put them in a container and put them in the fridge, you might want to put your fries separately. That's just a little note I want to add, just in case you want to make them crispy in an air fryer or something like that. But they work great in the microwave too. So in any case, I'm just going to bake these at 425 degrees for 30 to 45 minutes and give them a little bit of a toss halfway through just to make sure they don't burn, and they'll get nice and crispy. Those parts taste delicious, I promise. And then I'm just going to start putting them on an oven-safe plate. Now, if you want, you can keep them on the tray and then build your ingredients. If you don't have an oven-safe plate, that's fine. I'm just going to be adding my beans, which are cold. I didn't microwave these or anything like that. I just grabbed them straight from the refrigerator, and you'll see I'm adding cheese to one of the portions. I just had extra cheese left over, but my portion did not have any cheese. You can have it either way, whatever you like. I just put that back in the oven to heat up the beans, and then added my onions, tomatoes. I had a little bit of Greek yogurt on hand. It's about 25 cents worth of Greek yogurt. It's optional. Then I added my avocado and a little bit of cilantro from the garden. But again, those ingredients are optional. It's delicious with just beans, tomatoes, onions, and avocado. Oh my goodness, so good. You have got to try this recipe. You can add hot sauce, whatever you like. This next dinner idea is a Spanish barley with black beans and crispy sweet potato skins. So first I'm going to start by heating some oil in a pot and sauteing some onions until they're nice and soft and a little bit golden. Then I'm going to add my rinsed barley, and I'm going to toast that barley as well, just like I would if I'm making a Spanish rice. I'm going to toast it until it's a little bit golden. It takes about 5 minutes or so. Then I'll add some water, my tomato sauce, a little bit of water in the can to get the rest of that tomato sauce out, then a little bit of salt and pepper, and that's it for the seasonings. And I'm just going to let that simmer, cover it, and let it cook for about 45 minutes until that barley is fully cooked through. Now you may notice I did not use the tomato paste this week for anything, so you can actually avoid buying that this week because I didn't use it for anything. I was going to use it for the sloppy Janes, but it just wasn't necessary. So that will save you $1 on your budget this week, in case you're wondering. But here is what that Spanish barley looks like after 45 minutes. It looks so, so delicious. You can let it sit for another 5 minutes to make sure that it gets nice and thick and really absorbs all of that sauce. And in the meantime, I'm going to make my crispy sweet potato skins. I've already got my oven preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, but you could definitely use an air fryer for this. Both would work great. I'm just going to toss all of those sweet potato skins in oil and salt and pepper until they're nice and coated, and then I'm going to put them on a baking sheet. You can line it with parchment if you like, or foil, but I'm just going to put them directly on the baking sheet and just bake those for about 20 to 25 minutes, and I'll make sure I toss them halfway through, and they'll get nice and crispy. You can do these with regular potato skins too. Sweet potato or potato works both the same, so you can follow the same recipe for both, and they'll turn out so, so delicious. And just serve that with some black beans and that Spanish barley, and that's it for this dinner. Super, super easy. And now it's time for that bonus recipe, chocolate black bean brownie cupcakes. I'm just going to add to a blender 1 cup of black beans drained and rinsed, a 1/4 cup of nut butter, 2.5 tablespoons of maple syrup, a tablespoon of flour, a tablespoon of cocoa powder, a pinch of salt, and I almost forgot a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. Now it didn't blend quite all the way, so I added a little bit of neutral oil, about a tablespoon or so, up to 2 tablespoons, and just let that blend. And once it was relatively blended together, I scraped the sides and added my chocolate chips. And then I'm just going to put these in a lined baking sheet. I just used a cupcake tin, but you can do whatever you like, whatever you have on hand, and bake those for about 30 to 35 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit until a toothpick came out mostly clean. It's still going to have a little bit of batter on it. That's totally fine. Then I'm just going to let them cool for about 10 minutes or so and then serve them up. They were so delicious. I froze them. They're easy to just microwave straight from the freezer. My kids devoured these. It's just a great way to kind of use up the black beans and get a little extra nutrition and something that seems like a really decadent dessert. I hope you love it. I hope you love those recipes and at least got some inspiration for things to make in your home. And if you make anything or try anything, I'd love to hear how it turned out for you. So come back and let me know in the comments, of course. And I am making some more meal plans and lots of other budget-friendly tips videos. So be sure to subscribe, put the little bell on for notifications so it lets you know every time I post. And I'll see you in the next video. Of course, if you need more inspiration, check out some of my other meal plans or videos as well. Bye, I'll see you next time.